That's fine.
Obviously, he doesn't need the introduction. You guys know who he is, but I kind of share the same message that I sent with the younger group. That I mean, really, you guys are wearing what you're wearing. And this is here. I mean, it all kind of comes back to Coach Fox. He gave me a chance at the best university in the world, a dream school, and you guys hear the Carolina family story with basketball and Dean Smith and Roy Williams. Well, that's our Dean Smith and Roy Williams right there. The way he treats his players, he loves his players. I mean, our relationship probably now is just as good, if not better, when I was playing. And we constant communication. He comes up here, drives an hour plus just to come hang out. Just to come hang out, okay? So I know I can call him for anything. Anything. A lot of my traits that I have, my values and my morals come from Coach Fox. And, you know, hopefully one day, if you guys feel half about me as I feel about him, then I've done my job. And I mean that. I mean that. So I want him just to talk to you a little bit about not just the baseball part of it, but what a school like that, or really any school, is looking for when it comes to recruiting a player, off the field, character, and all that stuff, just because I know you guys hear me say it all the time, but you're probably going to listen to him a little bit more. Okay? So,
Probably not.
you just share some shit.
Sure.
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime.
Thanks for those words. This was I had more fun than any of the rest of you in here, guaranteed. That was a blast. So thanks for having me. Rob's telling my story. You guys know his story, right? You know his story? So he calls me in July, right before he's supposed to enroll, and he's got a torn shoulder, has to have surgery. He's crying. So I look at the phone. This is before summer school. I look at my phone. It's Rob. He's crying on the other end of the phone. So he's less than a month from enrolling his freshman year at UNC. So fast forward to me on a plane flying to Chicago, watching him pitch in the major leagues. So you can imagine that journey, right? From not playing his freshman year, I can specifically remember back when we drafted for the Fall World Series, and he was the last player, he probably remembers that, he was the last player picked in front of everybody. That's like elementary school. That's hard, right? When you're the last one picked. And then 2 seasons, I couldn't get him in the game fast enough. Like I think 41 appearances? 47, excuse me. Sorry to short you. 47 appearances in one season. 5-year journey, degree, and then through the minor leagues. And probably one of the biggest thrills of my life professionally was watching him pitch in the major leagues, because I knew his story, I knew his journey, and if he hadn't been in love, and this is obviously where I went to school, where I coached, but this is all the clothing I have, but if he hadn't been at his dream school, he would have left. He would have left, because that's what kids do now. You know, they don't want to persevere and work and try to stick it out. They want to try to, go somewhere where maybe the grass is greener. So you're probably going to be in that position at some point. So I'm not going to get into the recruiting part of it. I will get into this. And I had players that I recruited for 2 years, longer now, that got to campus and threw it away in one night. One night. More than one. Those are the guys now that I'm no longer coaching. I think about the Rob Wootens, but I also think sometimes about those that loved UNC, wanted to come to UNC, but just made one wrong decision at one time and crossed the line. And they could no longer be in our program. And some of them, unfortunately, could no longer be at UNC. Now, you think I'm exaggerating, and you think I'm trying to tell you that to scare you or anything. I'm not. I've been around young people all my life. That's why I wanted to come here. And this is what I miss. I mean, just watching you guys in here, like trying to get better and trying to improve. You could be anywhere else tonight, but you're not. You're here, and there's great value in that you're here. You should be here on your own, not because somebody wants you to be here, but you want to be here. So I commend you for that. And as I told the younger group, if you were here, I hope you know what you got in here and what's available to you. There are not too many programs like this where I think there's a lot of teaching, going on, and some instruction. And there's great value in that, so soak it all in. I used to tell all the kids that come into camp, you are not invincible. And I hear all the time, I used to hear all the time that, I'm young. I really can't make a mistake, now that I can't recover from. That's a lie. That is a lie, because I have seen it. So I've seen Joe Rito, who I didn't play with at Carolina, but he played a few years after me. I've opened the gate at Boschhammer Stadium and had him come talk to my team, and he was in a wheelchair. So when he was in North Carolina, he was a tremendous player at UNC, all ACC player, and one night intoxicated in the back of a car out on Highway 54 that I drive every single day. Accident, paralyzed, boom. Rest of his life. He was 21. Great Tar Heel, stayed in touch with him. And I just asked him one day, and he was down for a basketball game. I said, will you come talk to the team? So I got my team together, and I said, you guys don't know this guy, but there's Joe Rito. And there's a picture of him on the wall at our stadium. There's Joe Rito right there. I didn't play with him, but I know Joe, and he was a great player here, and he's going to come talk to you today. And the guys are going, okay, great, another old timer, coming in here. Well, boy, when he came around that corner in that wheelchair, all those guys, I could see their eyes just, get bigger and bigger. And obviously, he didn't really have to say anything. There it was. So I saw more than my share of that. The one thing I didn't realize when I got to UNC was UNC hospital is right beyond left field. And they have a heliport, whatever it's called. So we have a burn unit. So you see helicopters fly across. Rob knows this because every now and then I would just stop practice. Be right in the middle of practice and a helicopter would be going over the field. Well, they're going to the hospital. So somebody in that helicopter more than likely is not having a very good day. In fact, they may be having their worst day of their life or maybe the last day of their life. So I would just make the players just stop for a few minutes. Just take a deep breath. And okay, if that doesn't put it in perspective, then I don't know what will. And you guys are just like that. I get it with your age. I had to really, as you get older, I had to really try to get into all these young kids' worlds with your phone and your Instagram and everything, and what's driving you? What message are you hearing? What are you paying attention to? These phones are extremely dangerous. I'm sure you've heard it from your parents. Your decision making, I can tell you this, and you've heard it, I'm sure. And your peer pressure is the most powerful force on earth. No doubt. And it's a matter of this. It's a matter if maybe two or three, but just one. If your best friend, who you think is your best friend, can talk you into doing something that you normally would not do on your own, then you're giving in to peer pressure. And if it's more than one, more than two, more than three, I would imagine every one of you now have had the opportunity to probably get intoxicated, smoke dope, whatever. Have sex with a girl, I don't know. I don't usually hide anything now because I don't really care. I'm just going to tell you the truth. It's out there for you. And, Franklin Street, Rosemary Street, where all the bars were, I would just tell our players. I got to the end where I would tell our players that, hey, you want to get laid tonight? I can tell you where to go. Go up on Rosemary Street about 2 a.m. and you might get lucky. But you also might spend 25 years in prison. Take your pick. And that was not an exaggeration, because do you think in my 40 years of coaching, name one thing other than murder that I haven't seen? Can't name it. Can't name it. I've had former players. I got two former players in prison. I got one's a meth addict. I could give you now. I've got tons of them that are Rob Williams. God-loving, God-fearing, great people, great family people. But I mean, even Rob and all these adults are, at some point in their life, they had to make a decision. What kind of person, what kind of man, what kind of human being am I going to be? What kind of choice am I going to make? And you can make the wrong choice, like right now, probably next weekend. You guys are old enough to make the wrong choice. And you have to do it. It's scary being young, isn't it? It should be, you guys should be a little scared. If you walk around like a little scared, I'm not talking about scared of your shadow. I'm just talking about just being aware and being observant of what's going on around you in your world. You'll always be on your toes. It's okay not to use the F word. It's perfectly okay. It's okay not to drink. My dad was an alcoholic. My son's an alcoholic. I've been involved. I've seen it all. As many of these adults here at this age. Sure, Bernie's seen it all. I mean, just it's out there, and it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking when you see young people right now. You have the world. You're going through a tough time with this COVID thing. It's hard. No school. Parents, can't get out of the house. I know that's why you're here. A lot of you's here is like just being around one another. Well, when we get back to normal, the parties are coming, the alcohol's coming, all that stuff's out there. And it's never going away. It's never going away. It's part of life. But I just implore you to just stop and think. If you haven't already, get by yourself at some point, which you should every day, 5 or 10 minutes just by yourself. No phone, cut your phone off. If you get in front of the mirror, drop down on your knees, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and just stop. I mean, just stop. That's why I retired. Because I couldn't stop. It was the next recruit, the next game, and I thought I was missing out on the really important things in life. And I kind of was and I wasn't. But now, you can put my grandson in my lap, and I wouldn't trade that for, 100 Rob Williams. I just wouldn't. So, you guys are a long way from that, but I'm just telling you, just in my few minutes with you, I'll probably never see any of you again. I may or may not. I may come down here. I hope I do. But your parents aren't stupid. They're not the enemy. If you have parents that want to know who you're with and what time you're coming home and what you're going to be doing, you should wrap your arms around them and tell them thank you. Because I've coached many that didn't have that. And they got to UNC and had no concept of discipline, what it took for decision making. I had players that I went and watched pitch in the big leagues, major league all-star games, that I swear to you, when they got to Carolina, could not make a peanut butter sandwich. They had everything done for them. So when your parents ask you to, help in the kitchen, clean up, do this, they're helping you. They're helping you when it's time for you to get out of the house and live on your own and have to do things on your own. Because it's tough out there. I've said that all the time. I told my players all the time. I never worried about winning and losing and all that. I worried about players as soon as they left the stadium. Like, please make the right decisions. And for the most part, thank goodness, although it doesn't sound like it, for the most part, all of them did. Or we wouldn't have been as successful as we were. So that's enough. You probably lost me 10 minutes ago, but hopefully that helped you a little bit. If you become a good player, your grades and your character, they will decide where you're going to go to school. They will decide. We had many a player that we had either offered or getting ready to offer, or we liked them, we really liked them, but we did our research, called teachers, guidance counselors. Don't let it fool you that travel coaches are the only ones that coaches call. We would always try to call the high school coach and the guidance counselor, somebody that saw that player, that student in the classroom, in school every day. As opposed to just in here. No offense to these guys, but they kind of only see you in kind of one arena, maybe on the field, but the teacher sees you walking down the hall, right? Can hear you, how you're gonna communicate, how you treat girl, all that sort of stuff. So that is that's extremely important, and it can cost you. It can cost you. Those three things I just implore you to keep working at hard and try to make some good decisions in your life as you go forward. That's enough. Thanks for having me. Go Heels. Sorry.
Yes. That's part of that.
Choice and your decision. And I think alcohol abuse, binge drinking. At one point, I thought on our campus was just completely out of control, like out of control. I know for me personally, and I used to not share this a whole lot about me personally, my family, but I think my son was an alcoholic with his first time he ever drank. I think he was predisposed to it, and as much talking as obviously you can imagine that I did, and his mom and I did, he still went down that path. And you're right. I mean, it derailed his life for a long time. And again, I'm not saying that's going to be you or you, but you just don't know. You just don't know. And again, it all boils down to you. And I pray that you'll have enough strength and feel good enough about yourself. And when the time comes, you'll say no. But you have to say no, because it's going to be offered to you. It's going to be out there right in front of you, and all your quote friends are going to be doing it. And you might can do it and be a social drinker and be fine, but also you might not. It's your choice. So, the baseball stuff takes care of itself. You'll either keep growing, keep getting better. You got the ability to be committed to it. It's the rest of the stuff that you have to work just as hard at. So thanks for letting me follow up with that. Thank you, Coach.
You might have anything else? Sure. Okay. That was a great message. I mean, I'm 35 years old, and it's always nice to hear when he speaks, I listen. One of the greatest coaches in the history of college baseball. Okay, no offense, he's a way better person. And that speaks way more than baseball. Okay. We had some really, really good times on the field. We had some times we did this. That's because we love each other, we're competitive, and we wanted to win, But he's standing right here beside me 13 years later. And I promise you, 10 years from now, he would still be standing right here beside me. Okay? So anyone that gets recruited by Carolina should go there. Go Heels.